Hey, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, drop a like on my video, and share it on social media. Thanks. Hello, so a few weeks ago I came across this TEDx, Ideas in Action X, and I wanted to talk about it, but there's been so much going on and so many things going on in my life that I just haven't been able to get to it. It's still relevant, it's still pertinent. It's just a really crazy TEDx talk, and I wanted to analyze it a little bit and let you know about it so that you can watch it yourself. So let's take a look and see what they have to say here.
Take to finally get out of the nightmare of white supremacy and patriarchy.
We keep having movements and conversations and wins.
So white supremacy and patriarchy is a nightmare for you? Really? So my existence is a nightmare. Because as long as I exist, there's going to be white supremacy, right? Because I'm white. And therefore, as long as white people exist, there's going to be white supremacy, right? That's how this works? Isn't that it? All white people are racist? And if you really think that the white supremacist patriarchy is so bad, go live in Africa. There are like no white people in government in Africa. Why don't you go live in Asia? No white people in government in Asia. Why don't you see how you have to live in those other parts of the world, and then decide if this white supremacist system we have here in the United States is so terrible. And it's not white supremacist because there's black people in government, there's Hispanic people in government, there's Asian people in government. And as far as being a patriarchy is concerned, there's women in government. And you're going to say, well, it's not equal. It's not 50% women. Yeah, the reason it's not 50% women is because women need to be staying home and taking care of the children. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know it's so unfair you don't get paid to do that. Well, then don't have children. I mean, it's simple. You have a choice. You can either have children or not. It's up to you. If you don't have children, you can focus on your career your entire life. If you do have children, you need to raise your children. And yeah, it would be nice if, we could all just kind of live like we did 100 years ago and live in a village and everybody knows everybody and we all take care of the children and take care of each other and blah, blah, blah. I know that you don't want that, but that would be kind of cool, actually. So, yeah, just go check out the rest of the world. Why don't you find a place in the world where it's female dominant? You got one right here, basically, the United States. It's female dominant. Men still have enough power that it hasn't become overrun by the feminine attitudes, but we're quickly losing that battle. This is going to become a female dominant country, probably in my lifetime, a truly female dominant country, and you're going to see the fall of the United States at that point, because there is no point in doing anything if women rule the world. If women make the decisions, there is no point in doing anything. The reason that anything gets done in the world by men, period, at all, ever, is because there are women and men want to impress those women. That's really the only reason why men do anything. Okay? And if you don't believe that, then why don't you try getting a group of people together and go, okay, the women, you get to pick a man and you're not allowed to know anything about him. And then men, you're just going to go about your life and do whatever it is you want to do. And then women are just going to draw your name out of a hat and see how quickly men just, don't do anything. Give them everything they need. Give them the food and shelter that they need. And then say, all right, so your ambition is to do whatever you feel like doing because you have no choice in mating selection. So you'll see the men don't do anything at that point. Let's see what else they have to say.
And patriarchy.
We keep having movements and conversations and wins to varying degrees.
But every time we fix one of the symptoms of the problem,
the problem transforms and reasserts itself, and the system never changes.
Perhaps it is because you, as women, cannot handle the system. Okay? Do you really want to be in charge? Do you really want to be in charge? Do you really want to be a senator? Do you really want to be a governor? Do you really want to be a president? If you really want to be in leadership, go into the military and learn how to be a leader. Learn leadership. But you don't want to do that. You want to whine and complain and say, hey, look, I'm oppressed because I'm a girl. I can't get what I want because I'm a girl. I mean, look, I have my own platform to talk to the entire world on, but it's just not fair. Oh, I mean, I made $75,000 last year, and there were men who made more money than me. Yeah, there's people who make more money than other people. It has nothing to do with your gender, really. What it comes down to is the choices that you make. I mean, I don't make as much money as Oprah Winfrey, but you know, it's a white supremacist patriarchy in this country. Don't you know?
And the cycle continues.
So, as two women who have each spent over a decade trying to break up the good old white boys club, in our case in media and entertainment, we keep asking ourselves,
what will it take as a society to get out of the nightmare of white supremacy and patriarchy?
In late 2017, in the wake of Me Too, when women finally had the world's attention, I thought I had part of the answer. I set out to create an organization of leaders working towards parity in Hollywood. The plan was that we could come together, train our laser beams at the white men in power, and change the system forever. I had charts and diagrams illustrating how we could avoid hierarchy.
When Naomi called me to join, I had learned by then that predominantly white-led organizations would be hard to navigate as a black woman. I didn't want the responsibility.
Really, white-led organizations are going to be hard to navigate as a black woman. Why? Why? What kind of special ability do you think that white people have that makes them operate in a different manner than you do? I mean, really, what is there? Is there some like special power that white people have, especially white men? White men have a special power that nobody else has? Or is it that white men are just working hard and making connections and putting in the effort that they need to succeed economically and politically? I mean, yes, there is sexism in the world. Look at the church, right? The Catholic Church, I believe it is apparently men have a lot more power and responsibility than women do. Like, you know, the men get to be bishops and priests and all that stuff, and the women get to be nuns. Yay! So there's a power dynamic there. But so don't become a Catholic then. Distance yourself from religion in general, because it's all fake. It's all made up. Unless you have proof otherwise, I mean, actual proof that this religion is the correct one, actual testable empirical proof, then why would you get involved with religion? It's, you know. Okay, so there's one thing that's it's just terrible patriarchy. And it's also white patriarchy because, you know, Catholicism was invented by white people. Terrible. It really, what is this? Tell me this magic power, please. Please, Sarah, tell me this magic power that white men have.
Ability of educating. But I said yes anyway because I was curious in learning what a community without a hierarchy could actually look like.
At the first meeting of this new organization,
A community without a hierarchy can look like nothing. Okay, do you want to know I can tell you exactly what it would look like. It's going to be great, actually. I can tell you this. It will be very similar to how tigers live in the wild, or jaguars, or leopards. It will be very similar to how those animals live in the wild. They live alone for the most part. 99% of their life, or 95% of their lives, is spent alone. You can't have a group of animals get together and not have a hierarchy develop. It's just the nature of animals, period. They will look to social cues, whether they intend to or not, and decide who's going to be the leader and who is not going to be the leader. And with that, there are certain responsibilities. Being the leader is not all like cakewalk and fun and games. I think this notion comes out of feudal Europe when we were living as peasants. And we all looked to the aristocracy to go, oh, if only I could have what that person has. Now, that became so perverted, we didn't realize that they have a lot of other things that they're doing. And there was probably a lot of corruption that went on. And so they did have it better than the peasants. But they also had responsibility. And it was started to be like, yeah, the king has this huge amount of responsibility. He has a huge amount of responsibility hanging over his head. Yes, he gets a luxurious lifestyle, but he has a huge amount of responsibility hanging over his head. So let's see what else you have to say.
I invited the assembled leaders to talk about what our dreams really were for the future of Hollywood. But we were so entrenched in the obstacles we were facing that our minds couldn't actually imagine anything else.
And the problems didn't stop there. In our organization, formed to dismantle the existing system, we quickly adopted behaviors of our oppressors and used them against each other.
Many of us began fighting for power when what we had.
Is it that you've adopted these behaviors and started fighting for power because you don't know any other way, like Sarah claims? Or is it because this is the nature of group dynamics? The heck? Why is this such a... this is why you're not leaders. This is why you cannot get into leadership roles. This is why you think there's a patriarchy, because you have these insane notions. Social creatures live in hierarchies, period.
Said we wanted no hierarchy.
Some women were oppressing other women.
Other women were invested in protecting the white dudes in power.
Oh, you mean to tell me that oppression and protecting the system that already exists is something that happens even in organizations without men? Huh. Imagine that. Huh. What do you know? Do you really want to have this power that you think is so amazing? Do you really want to be the person that everybody looks to and says, hey, you have to fix the problem. It's broken. You get to fix it now.
Every conversation seemed to be a battle over how to achieve intersectionality.
And it became clear that we were just creating yet another power-driven system that was not equitable for all.
So, after about a year of this, I call Naomi and I say, this isn't working.
And I said, I know.
Then we started talking.
And we kept talking for weeks.
Which turned into months.
And eventually nearly 2 years of digging, discussing, researching. We created more Google Docs than I care to talk about in polite company.
Asking ourselves, what went wrong?
Wow, I can answer that question for you, as I have many times over now. Social creatures do not operate outside of hierarchy.
Why aren't our outcomes aligning with our intentions?
So what we definitely know is that the system has institutionalized inequities and will continue to unless we change it.
But also, what is happening inside of ourselves that is preventing those of us who consciously want change from just coming together, rising up, and making that change occur?
Is it possible that, even when we think what we want is change, that our conditioning is leading us to participate in upholding the existing power structures?
Is it possible that we don't need any change? What a concept! Oh my goodness! Oh no! We've given women everything they want. Given everything they want. You have equal rights. You have less responsibility than men. You have the ability to work any job that you want to in our society. In fact, you can do a job that men cannot do, which is be a wet nurse. Men cannot do that, period. Hands down. We can't do that. I suppose if we took some hormone treatments, maybe you could. But otherwise, yeah, men can't do that. We just don't have that physical ability. There's other jobs that you can do that men cannot do, such as kindergarten teacher. Not that men cannot do that, not that men are incapable, but really, are you going to hire a man to be your kindergarten teacher? You know, I applied for a job where I had to teach. It was a teaching job, and it was younger kids, it was between like kindergarten and high school kids, and I was like, yeah, I don't even want to teach the kindergarten kids, and the interviewer was like, yeah, I wouldn't hire a man to do that anyway. I need like a mother to do that, motherly type to do that. Yeah, so there's so many advantages women have over men, and they don't even realize it. Women have every single advantage in our society, and there are people out there who argue this, say, oh no, there are male, I mean, not just the feminists, but there's these non-feminist individuals who will claim that though there's male privilege There is male privilege, and it's like, you're gonna do better in a physical competition. And I'm like, yeah, that's some great privilege that I have there. I'm often competing in a physical competition against women. Oh no, wait, that's illegal in most cases. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, it's not illegal, but on a professional level. Like, you don't have women in the NFL. You don't have women playing men's basketball, and so on and so forth, right? Whatever. This is just ridiculous.
I'm going to repeat that for you. Is it possible that even when what we think we want is change, that our conditioning is leading us to participate in upholding the existing power structures?
No, it's not. It's not possible.
That's deep.
No, it's not.
After
Shallow.
all that digging, the devastating conclusion we arrived at was yes.
Okay, well, you're wrong.
Because we are all shaped by this society.
A society that in millions of subtle and not so subtle ways trains our brains from childhood to understand that the white, straight, cis, able-bodied man is the standard, and the modes in which he operates are the norm.
Oh, really? That was what I never got that message. I never got that message. I did not behave in the manner of the standard white cis male. And not only that, don't like other races of men, and the men in other races, don't they kind of like behave similar to? We all want the same things. What it comes down to, we all want enough food, enough shelter to get by. We all want good health, good friends, good family. That's what we all want. Really, there are other things that we can want, but those, I mean, once we have those things taken care of, those things are just a given. We take them for granted that we'll have those basic things. Then we start working on other things, typically. Okay? So I'm sorry that you think that I am the norm, that I am the standard by which you must judge yourself. But I never got that message. I never acted like this. I don't watch sports. I didn't participate in sports. I don't go out to bars and drink. I don't go out chasing after women at bars while drinking. I didn't go into the military, which is, a male-dominant area, for a good reason. And it should be basically male only. There are some jobs that women can do in the military, but it should basically just be men there. We need women to be safe and take care of the babies. But how many times can I say that?
Which leaves many of us believing that the closer we twist ourselves to be just like him and near him,
and the more we separate ourselves from those who look least like him,
the more power,
safety,
money,
resources,
visibility,
validation
that we will have.
That's not true at all. I'm sorry, but if you're a female and you act like a female, I'm going to be more interested in you, more attracted to you, and you're going to be more visible to me. Men are part of the crowd. I see them as a potential threat. I look at women as something that I would want to be closer to.
And so the next question is, how does that change?
How do those of us who consciously want a different world actually liberate our minds enough to build it?
That's a big question.
That's a huge question.
That we don't have the answers to. I'm sorry.
But after all of
I can answer that question for you. You can't, because the world doesn't need to change to your interests. Okay? Your interests are women should be on top, men should be on the bottom. White people should be on the bottom, and everybody else should be on top. Or at least black people should be on the very top, because you're part of BLM. Yeah, you're disgusting people who think that white people and men are evil.
this digging and researching and questioning, we do have some ideas.
These ideas formed as Sarah and I listened to each other's stories, unpacking and understanding everything that had been programmed into each one of us.
And what we realized was pretty surprising.
That as different as our backgrounds and experiences have been.
For me, growing up in Bakersfield, California, where I was called the N-word at 5, and KKK rallies were common.
What? I'm sorry, she's what, 30? Maybe? She looks pretty young. Maybe she's 40. That would be the extent, because she doesn't have any sagging skin. She's not going to get a lot of wrinkles. because of the amount of melanin in her skin, but she doesn't have any sagging skin. Her skin is very tight. She's probably 30 at the most. So you're telling me in 1990s, the 90s, there were KKK rallies? And oh my gosh, you were called a bad name. Oh no! You were called a bad name and it was a racial one. Oh my god. Such a terrible society we live in. There's people that are racist. Oh no. And there's people that aren't racist that will just call you a racial name because they want to be mean or they don't like you. So what? Get over it. There were not large KKK rallies in the 90s. I'm sorry.
Up in a liberal, supportive, very white community in Colorado where I was 8 years old before I saw a black person in real life.
Really? Really? So, I'd like to know where that community is. Because I grew up in conservative Northern Illinois, where I went to school with black children. I had black children living on my street with me. So, here's the deal. You lived in a liberal part of the country where there were no black people. How come it is that I was living in a conservative part of the country and there were black people all over the place? How does that work out for you? You're lying.
Our journeys through wanting to become agents of change and trying to break free of the white supremacist patriarchal teachings of the culture actually shared a lot of the same markers.
5 markers, in fact. 5 stages of growth that on our very, very different journeys we have nevertheless each wrestled through.
Over and over as we each try to heal ourselves and decolonize our minds.
So, if anything we're saying resonates with you, we'd like to offer those stages.
And not because they're definitive or contain all of the answers. We are on this journey too.
But because maybe as you travel your own journey, trying to unravel and heal all of this in yourself, that maybe when you arrive at these stages, you'll be able to say,
oh yeah, Sarah Naomi told me this would happen.
And that hopefully we take some of the terror that has been placed on anything related to dismantling race and gender out of it.
And replace it with a shared human journey toward a better future. So, let's get into it. Growth stage 1. Accept the full scope of the problem.
We assume that if you're still listening to this talk, you're probably not one of those people on Twitter that we have to convince that white supremacy and patriarchy exist.
But just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
White men are roughly 30% of the US population. Now, if you get it down to white, straight, cis, able-bodied, and take into account non-binary folk who aren't even accounted for here, it's less than that. But just for argument's sake, let's say 30%. That means that the rest of us are 70% of the population.
And yet, when you look at who controls the resources, the institutions, the most powerful industries.
Indeed.
Wait a second. I think I saw some non-white people on that list. Let's look at that again.
When you look at who controls the resources.
Let's see. He looks Jewish. He looks non-white. He looks like he's Arabic. Okay, let's keep going. He looks Jewish. This is Zuckerberg, right? I think he's Jewish. I don't know. I don't know if they consider themselves white. It seems like Jewish people can decide what they want to be.
Institutions.
Okay, that is definitely not a white man. Look, this guy's on here twice. I wonder what he did to get on that list twice. He must be really awesome. Okay. And these are the highest paid CEOs. Well, did they like figure out a way to maybe make a company become really successful? I mean, do you think that like we're just going, hey, you know what? I like that white guy there. I'm going to make him one of the highest paid CEOs in the country. Is that how this works? No, that's not how this works. They actually did something to achieve this goal. They didn't just get this because they're men and they're white. They did something here to accomplish this.
Most powerful
That's not a man. That's not a man. That's not a man. What? Liars. Like, nearly half of these people are women. And so these are Ivy League presidents. The president of the school I work for is female. It's just so ridiculous to think that this is a white supremacist patriarchy when there are women who are doing these things too. Nobody's forcing women to not do this. If you want to do this, go for it. Go become a president of a major university. Nobody's stopping you. You're stopping yourself. And these women want to say that it's an ingrained belief that you're raised with in our society. No. Women have agency. They can decide what they want to do with their lives. They can decide that, you know what, I want to be a stay-at-home mom for a while. That I don't want to work in education. I don't want to work in tech. I want to work in other things. And this is not something that is, this mind-shattering thing. This is simply the way people are. Women have different interests than men do. Women are not as interested in going out and earning $1 billion. Men are more interested in doing that sort of thing. Okay?
Industries.
Indeed, so total has the dominance of the white man been that he has reshaped almost everything in his own image.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Everything is reshaped in my own image. What? What is reshaped in my own image? Tell me, please tell me all the things that are reshaped in my own image. I've never seen anything that wasn't in the male image. Like, I'm looking around this room that I'm sitting in here, and I see only one three-dimensional object right now in the direction I'm facing. That is in the shape of a man, and it's a sculpture that I have. But you can get sculptures in the shape of women. That's not anything unusual.
Just as a starter list, we are talking language,
History, anthropology,
religion, medicine,
science,
how we see ourselves,
how we treat each other,
and certainly the narratives we share and consume.
Okay, proof. Please give me some proof that this is all the case. That white men are just like, oh, they've taken over the world and they've shaped it to be this way, this white man way, this evil white man way. I want to know where this idea is coming from. What proof do you have to believe this? You have no proof, I'm sure. You just want to believe this because you're evil. You are evil people who think that the world is out to get you. The thing is, I can say that without hesitation because I am a white man and I don't have some extravagant lifestyle. I don't have a lot of power in the world. People don't look at me and go, wow, you're amazing. You're a white man. I get accused of wrongdoing. I don't get things given to me because I'm a white male. Nothing has come to me because I'm a white male. If anything has happened to me because of my whiteness and my maleness, it has been negative. I have been passed over for jobs because, hey, we got to put a female in that position. I have been accused of wrongdoing because, hey, he's a man, he's evil, because men are considered the evil aggressors in our society. Well, where are you getting these ideas from that men are just like this so amazing thing that they can just do whatever they want to do? They just step out into the street and they can just do whatever. Here's an example. I was talking to a teacher and a student. It's a female student, by the way. This other teacher was telling a story about how somebody threatened to kill him at a gas station. So he immediately got into his car and drove away. And the female student says it's worse for women. I'm like, oh really? How can you possibly know that? And she says, well, let me put it to you this way. I was just walking down the street one day, and this guy came out of nowhere. He said, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're kidding me, right? That saying someone is beautiful, complimenting somebody, is much worse than threatening to kill someone. You're right, women have it so much worse. What was I thinking? This is all in your head. This is your head saying that, hey, things like being complimented by strangers on the street is worse than getting death threats from strangers on the street. And that's what this comes down to. You think you're oppressed, therefore you're oppressed. You are literally, I mean that literally, these women are oppressed because they think they are. Meanwhile, they have a worldwide platform that they can say, hey, I'm oppressed because I'm female and I'm not white or whatever.
We could go on, but in the spirit of trying to understand and accept the full scope of the problem, let's think about it this way. Imagine that the white supremacist patriarchy has wrapped your head in hundreds and hundreds of layers of gauze, okay? So that you cannot see anything else. No light, just that white gauze.
And every time something happens that forces you to see the system for what it is, you're peeling away a layer, whether it's an event, something that happens to you, a book you read, a conversation. You're peeling away yet another layer of that gauze.
But you can't stop when you see your first glimmer of light, right? That's not the full scope of the problem. That's just like, oh my God, there's a problem.
If you are interested in truly breaking free, you have to keep going.
Yeah, that's a stupid analogy. If you had your face covered in gauze, hundreds of layers, you wouldn't be able to see anything. Not the patriarchy. I get what they're going for. It's like all you can see is this patriarchy, and we pull back a layer and pull back another layer and pull back another layer, and then finally when you pull back enough layers, you start seeing other things. Oh my gosh, there's another way of doing things. No, there isn't. We don't do things in a patriarchal manner. We don't. Okay? If you want to do things in a matriarchal manner, which is what we're heading for quickly, mind you, you're going to not like it. You're not going to like it at all.
Always peeling, digging, educating yourself, deepening your understanding.
Keeping in mind that the closer you are personally to that white male standard, the more proactive you will need.
Did this woman know that she was going to be like on video in front of potentially the whole world when this was shot? I mean, what is up with her hair? What is up with her in general? I mean, she just looks like she doesn't even, she just rolled out of bed and tossed on a shirt, didn't even finish buttoning it up. I know that's an ad hominem, but I'm not attacking her. I'm just like wondering what the hell is this, the production quality on this thing. That the fake brick wall back here, that looks great. And they look like they're reading a teleprompter too, so whatever.
To be in peeling away those layers, because the less likely it is that experience alone will do it for you.
Yes, the only way out is to keep peeling away more and more layers of that gauze.
Because believe us, you don't want to spend the rest of your life with gauze over your eyes.
Growth stage 2. Face your place in the system.
So, as we are continually understanding the scope of the problem,
peeling away those layers,
we must also look inward.
We can't separate ourselves from the larger whole.
Because we are the stuff of which that system is made.
If my goal is to transform the system, I have to ask myself, in what ways am I to participating in upholding the existing system?
I am white.
You should probably leave the country. You should probably go live in a country that is not predominantly white. That would be the way to fix your problem. Immediately. Your problem would be fixed immediately. There would be no white patriarchy. Well, there certainly would not be a white patriarchy if you went to, say, Vietnam. Go live in Vietnam. Go live in North Korea. That's a good choice. You should do that. How about you go live in, I don't know, maybe Saudi Arabia? Yeah, let's live in Saudi Arabia. I bet there's not a lot of white people there, so you wouldn't have to worry about the white patriarchy there.
And a woman. I have been hurt, held back, and discriminated against because of my gender. And also, I have benefited from my whiteness, and I have participated in maintaining that standard.
No, you haven't. Those are two lies that you just told yourself and that you believe wholeheartedly. The only way you are benefiting from your whiteness is that by the fact that you live in a majority white country, but that country is given equal rights to everyone. So it doesn't matter if you are black or Hispanic or Asian or Arabic. It doesn't matter. You can do just as much as anybody else in this country. So your whiteness has not done anything for you. Being a female has not been something that's held you back. Okay? Because all you have to do is be pretty. That's all that you have to do is be pretty. Find yourself a rich man, and you can have whatever you want in this world. Unless, of course, what you want is some stupid thing where women are exactly equal to men in every position in the world. Mind you, you're not talking about like going, oh, you know what, we need more women in coal mining. We need more women in sanitation work. We need more women in construction. We need more women in the military. It's only high-powered positions in Hollywood that you're worried about. Freaking hypocrites.
And I am black and a woman. A member of two of the most marginalized groups in the world.
Not marginalized at all.
That doesn't mean that I haven't
In the United
benefited
States.
from the opportunities not always awarded to the most marginalized among us, especially black, queer, and transgendered women who are far too often neglected and overlooked.
How so? How are they neglected and overlooked? In what way is anyone neglected and overlooked in this country? By the system. I mean, it's fine. Maybe there's a way. I mean, I would say that everybody is treated pretty much the same by the system except for men. Men are treated worse than women by the system. That's it. The system is specifically designed to make it easier for women. Women have ultimate control over childbirth and child rearing. There are laws to protect women that don't exist. The same laws don't exist to protect men. So women can do things and get away with it, whereas men cannot. The criminal justice system favors women over men.
We've participated in upholding this system.
It's kind of likely you have too.
In microaggressions and or overt racist and sexist behavior.
In believing the myths about scarcity, the fear that somehow there isn't enough for all of us.
In reacting out of that fear to fight with each other for position and power.
In justifying inhumane behavior. Because hey, after all, it's just business, right?
In valuing the accumulation of wealth and status over well-being.
In internalized sexism and racism and colorism.
Giving into the training that our voices don't matter.
Making ourselves smaller to validate the lie that their vision matters more.
And turning that self-hatred on each other.
Because the gene...
Well, whose fault is that? You make yourself smaller, you turn hatred on each other. Whose fault is that? That's you guys. That's all on you. You're 100% on you. You do that to you. You don't do that to... I mean, nobody's making you do that. I mean, are these people functionally retarded or is it just me?
The biggest thing of white supremacy and patriarchy is that it can exist with or without the primary beneficiaries being present.
Now, as you look at this, you may feel fears or tensions flare up in your body.
The abyss opening up.
Defensiveness, rejection, shame, guilt.
All of those bad feelings that we work so hard to avoid.
But like with any feelings, the more you avoid them, the more they grow up inside you, the more power they gain.
So turn around and face them.
With the same ongoing rigor with which you tear that gauze away from your eyes, you must also continually interrogate your own beliefs, values, and ideas.
No, this is all your own beliefs, values, and ideas. This patriarchy gauze that you have is not a thing. This is all a delusion in your own little brain. Your own little immature brain. Your brain that is like developed to the level of 5 years old and then stopped developing. At least your intellect, I should say, is that of a child. Your intellect is that of a child. You have this black and white view of the world. You have this victimizer mentality that's just not true.
Always questioning the source. Where does this come from?
If you truly want something new, you have to be willing to risk and let go of every facet of the old.
Values around money and history, culture.
Oh, okay. So you should just give up money? We should just ignore all the history that was, how many men sacrificed their lives, their well-being, to make this country what it is today, where you can get onto a platform and talk to the entire world. Where do you think this technology came from? Did it come from black women? Did it come from Hispanic women? Did it come from Asian women? No, it came from white men. What about the freedoms that you enjoy in this country? My ancestor fought in the Civil War. My ancestor fought in the Revolutionary War. They survived, fortunately, but they actually voluntarily fought in those wars, knowing that they could be killed or maimed, so that you can sit here and say, oh, white man is evil. White men are just so evil. And you don't even appreciate that. You just ignore that as if it's not even real.
The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves.
If you truly want something new, you have to be willing to do the work of becoming your own human being.
What we're asking is hard.
and it's going to bring grief.
Growth stage 3, grieve and release.
I grieve. A torturous feeling of having to break apart and destroy the toxicity that remained in my mind about the times I failed to show up for myself and for my community. About how I bought into lies and narratives designed to limit and hurt me. I've been angry at the system, yes, but even angrier at myself. The years of my life that I fell into this trap, growing up wanting straight hair or fair skin so that I could be accepted or more desirable.
You weren't accepted, you weren't desirable. You have a wedding ring on your finger. You convinced some poor schmuck to marry you. Maybe it's just an engagement ring. Maybe he can run away and get out while he still has a chance. But you think that your acceptability and desirability is based on your hair, your skin color? If that's true, move to a place in the world where the majority of the people look like you. You want to stay here, you want to have your cake, and you want to eat it too. You can't do that. If you get that, you're not going to like it. You're not going to be happy with the results. When this country is given over to the women and the blacks, it's not going to be a good time for the people who stay here.
Survive while trying to live up to a standard that was never my own.
There is a grief I spent decades avoiding. The grief of looking directly at the fact that every moment of my entire life has been easier because I am white.
Really? Every moment of your entire life has been easier because you're white? Wow. That's a lie. I mean, how many times do I have to go over this? These women. Do you think I haven't been threatened because I'm white? I have. I've experienced racism against me. Oh, I know I can't be racist against white people, right? I have not received a single thing because of my race. If anything, it's held me back. Because I know that companies want to hire minorities, what are called minorities, what aren't actually minorities. I know that companies want to hire women. So they see me coming and they're like, oh, I don't want to give this guy a job. But no, you believe that whiteness has opened up doors for you. It's made your life so much easier. No, it hasn't. It has not. You will learn the hard way. You keep this attitude up, you're going to learn the hard way that the world is actually against you. When it comes down to it, the world is actually against you. So keep spewing this garbage.
People
find out the hard way.
like me have gone to unspeakable lengths to avoid that simple truth. I have wept for that too. Tears that are infinitesimal in scale in comparison to the suffering caused by our avoidance. I have grieved to stop avoiding, grieved to my own oppression, anger and indignation at the lies I was told as a child on repeat, that women can do anything, reach for the stars, girl power, without ever having anyone explain to me why those things were necessary to say in the first place.
The reason those things were said to you is because people are delusional and think that women should be doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You should be a good mother and wife. That is your position in society. Not being a high-powered CEO, not being a movie director, not being a movie producer. We need women to take care of the family. When the family breaks down, the rest of society follows. Why do you think this country is on fire now?
We're not just healing our own pain. We are also healing the trauma of generations.
Centuries of trauma inflicted by white supremacy and patriarchy.
So was this white supremacy existent, like I said, in Asia, in Africa? So are those people there traumatized by it? How about South America? How about Central America? Were the people living there traumatized by this white supremacy? Because go there. Go to those countries and see how good they have it there. How good people have it there on average compared to how good you have it here. And you're probably going to say, oh, well, that doesn't mean that I'm not traumatized. They're just traumatized more. I still have trauma from all this. No, you have trauma from your own psychosis.
Octavia Butler said, in order to rise from its own ashes, a phoenix first must burn.
So burn.
Release.
Let it go.
Growth stage 4, heal.
Don't worry, we're not going to leave you there on your knees.
Alongside the grief, in order to heal our society, we must find a way to heal ourselves.
How you go about finding that healing will be deeply personal. I have found healing in meditation,
I in Kundalini Yoga and Reiki.
in the ugly cries.
Yeah, in Reiki. I don't really know a lot about Reiki, but from what I know, it's just like some weird voodoo dance thing that you do. Not the person suffering, but the person doing the Reiki on you. I mean, why don't doctors use it if it's so effective? But again, this is all in your head. Everything is in your head, so of course that's going to work.
Therapy,
In spirituality and creativity.
in community and ritual.
You're going to have to discover where that healing can happen for you.
Yeah, I've suffered so much, and I have suffered so much by being a male and being oppressed because of it. Being told constantly that I'm the evil oppressor in this country, that I'm bad because I'm a man, that I'm bad because I'm white. I've been told these things, and they're even saying it here, white supremacy is wrong. Well, I'm part of the white race, so am I inherently supremacist? Apparently, yes. They don't say that, but that's the gist of whiteness. It's like, oh, you're white, you're a supremacist, you're evil, racist. You're a man, oh, you're evil, you're sexist. I don't want women to suffer. I don't want people who aren't white to suffer. I want everybody to have a happy, comfortable life. I really do. But the thing is, the world isn't fair. Life is not fair. Your suffering is probably not because you're a female. Your suffering is probably not because you're white. Your suffering is probably not because you're black. There might be a small part of it that you can attribute to that. You can attribute suffering in this country to being white because you're constantly told that you're bad if you're white. You can attribute suffering in this country to being male because we're constantly told that we're bad because we're male. They're doing it right now. They're saying, hey, you're white, you're male, you are the problem. You are the cause of the problem. You think that doesn't affect me negatively? You think that doesn't affect everybody who hears this message negatively? You even said it yourself. You have guilt because you're white. What the heck is wrong with you? Why would you have guilt for that? You haven't done anything wrong just by being born white. These women are so insane, and it just drives me nuts.
Based on who you are and what you have access to.
Ensuring access to healing practices for all is going to be required for our collective recovery.
Like with all of this, there are no one-and-done quick fixes.
But the good news is, we know human transformation is possible.
If you've ever broken a habit or healed from a trauma of any kind, this work is really not so different from that work.
And the exciting part is, as you heal, you get to put yourself back together.
Accepting and integrating a new, probably messier understanding of yourself.
But this time with the integrity of truth and love.
Growth stage 5. Build a different dream. Now, what we are definitely not saying is that you must cease all external action for change until you go into a cave, fix yourself, and come out pure and ready to do the work.
The external systems that institutionalize oppression are real, and we must be impatient in our demands for them to change.
What we are saying is that you cannot neglect the internal work and only focus on the external work.
Yes, because they are connected.
Which means that as you continue your journey of accepting the scope of the problem, facing your place in that problem, grieving and healing, you're going to have to simultaneously continue taking actions to dismantle the system that exists, a system that will inevitably push back.
It's going to be messy. This is an ongoing practice, and we are going to oscillate.
You can't take it on all at once. Like healing any deep wound, you're going to have to tend to it every day.
And you're going to get it wrong sometimes.
Remember to extend forgiveness to yourself.
And hey, have some forgiveness and compassion for others on their journeys too.
We are attempting a mass transformation of human consciousness. We are never all going to be in the same stage of that transformation at the same time.
But the other good news is, this current reality, these current systems started somewhere. Humans began them. We were taught them, which means we can unlearn them.
Are you sure they began them, or they just didn't grow organically out of a need to continue the human race? I mean, really, what makes you think that these were invented? These ideas are just, they come out of a vacuum. Oh, I have this idea. I want to have men oppress women. It'll be awesome. Ah! That does happen, I'm sure. I'm sure there are cultures in this world that developed, and then they came up with this idea like, this is not working. We have to have men oppress women. Women have to be in their place. It's not happening here in the United States.
We can change our reality.
In fact, we don't even need everyone to get there. According to Erica Chenoweth's research, you only need about 3.5% of a population to activate and dismantle a system.
So come.
Well, that's scary. Only 3.5% of the population has to agree with these idiots, and then all of a sudden we're gonna have their notion of what is good in the world. It's going to be a system of non-hierarchy, apparently, and non-male participation in the world.
And we
All right, well, I'm done with these idiots because they don't have anything else to say at this point. I hope he made it through that. It's painful, I know. I will say one last thing. Over the last several years, Hollywood has been using more and more female directors, more and more female producers, and more female leads. And the movies have gotten worse and worse. Thanks for watching.